Welcome back, everyone. I'm joined here by Kiran from Tomb Tech, who's got a fantastic presentation to show us. We'll jump into just that in just a second. I just wanted to take a note of our sponsor, Axelar Network. They're doing some fantastic work over there, so if you can go and check out their website and also take the time to go and say hello to them at the booth, their team will be stationed there all day. So if you have any questions, jump in there and do ask. But over to you, Kiran, and best of luck.
Awesome. Thank you. So today, well, first, let me just introduce myself here. I am Kiran. I am a co-founder and technical lead from Tomb Technologies. And my colleague here, Benjamin, he's from Trinity Tech. He couldn't be here because he's on the other side of the world, but I'm going to be presenting about Essentials, Elastos Essentials. We call it the Web3 Identity Super-Wallet. So I'm going to briefly touch over some of the limitations that most of the current wallets that people may be familiar with today use, and how Essentials is trying to bridge that gap by trying to be something more than just a crypto wallet. Because while it is fascinating to have all these different wallets that deal with different crypto transactions, smart contract transactions, I think there's a core piece missing there. And so Essentials is there to bridge that gap by introducing DIDs, decentralized identifier, to the mix. So let's talk about that today. Jumping over to the next slide. Okay, so as we know, Web 2 has limitations, and Web 3 does offer some tool sets for digital independence. And what Essentials does is we basically try to bridge that gap. We're trying to bring all these elements together from Web 3 into one platform, whereby we're not just saying we're a crypto wallet, but rather we also have a Dapp browser where you can browse different dApps that are available out there, and trying to finish that up with a nice user experience by trying to have a little more fun with it. And also, while at the same time being on different platforms out there instead of just one. So while our root is in Elastos, we do offer interaction with different blockchain platforms out there in addition to Elastos, and we're going to briefly touch about that later today. But most of all, the most important thing about Essentials is that we have digital identifiers, the DIDs, and decentralized storage. And those are, I believe, that two of the most important aspects of Web3 that most people don't really talk about. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's go through these features. All right, so this is what the initial onboarding process looks like for the Essentials Superwallet. It's very simple. All you do is, you install the application, you go on. As soon as you go on, you get the process going and you get your own identity. And on to the next step, it automatically gets your own decentralized storage. And after that, about a couple, maybe not a couple seconds, but maybe 10 to 20 seconds, all of this is set up, and then you become your own bank. And this, while this may seem very simple, that is actually, in fact, the goal, because we wanted to make this initial onboarding process a lot smoother for new users who are not very familiar with blockchain, nor crypto, nor Web3. And there's everyone out there now throwing all these technical jargons out there to regular people who don't know anything about Web3 or even blockchain. So we're trying to get all of this onboarding right so that it'll be a really nice, smooth process when it comes to the initial onboarding. So Essentials manages the user identities. These user identities are in fact W3C compliant standard as defined by their specification, which means that if I think most of the people out here on this conference are familiar, but there are a lot of platforms out there who are also W3C, who also have W3C standard DIDs built in. And so what that means is we basically conform to the same kind of standards, even if we are not on the same platform, such as Ethereum and Elastos and other platforms that are out there. And so what Essentials does is we deal with this same kind of standard And so it'll be easier to be portable in the future. So we have these what are called verifiable credentials. These are basically, you can think of these as Web3 identities. And these verifiable credentials basically mean that you have some kind of field, such as your name, your gender, your age, your location, your whatever it is. All of these could be easily verified by some third-party entity who also has their own DID, decentralized identifier. So then what happens is, you can request a verification of your name through some KYC service. And then you can choose to publish some aspect of your identity. For instance, you may want to publish your name, but maybe you don't want to publish your location, right? That's kind of, maybe you're not comfortable with that. And that's totally what Essentials allows you to do. You can pick and choose on what you want to do. The other thing about Essentials is it also supports the multi-user. It's also a multi-user platform, so which means that you don't just have access to one DID, but you are able to create a whole bunch of DIDs with the same mnemonics, that everyone is familiar with. So you can have an identity for your personal life. You can have another DID identity for your work life. Maybe it's your gamer life, whatever it is that you want to do. And all of this is, the mnemonics themselves. These are the same mnemonics that you are familiar with. For instance, if you were to use MetaMask, you log in, you import your mnemonics and you get your crypto wallet address. Same way. So instead of just dealing with the wallet address, what Essentials does is it takes it one step further by not just giving you a crypto wallet address, but also giving you a DID identifier, which in our case, it starts with DID : Elastos : and then the identifier of the DID. And you get all of this with the same mnemonics. So you don't have to have you don't have to deal with multiple mnemonics, and you just have to save that. And then, it's a one-stop shop for pretty much everything. All right. Before I go on to the next slide, because the polling feature is not working, I'm going to ask if people can reply just on the chat here. I'm just wondering how, people in your daily life, crypto life, which wallet are you most familiar with, and which crypto wallet do you use on a regular basis? You can just say MetaMask, Trust, or whatever, and we'll go from there. I think I'm really excited to look at the results at the end, but I have a feeling that MetaMask is the go-to for most people here, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, so this is the identity wallet on Essentials, the home screen. You can see here that you'll be able to edit any of your credentials directly from here. You'll be able to publish your DID onto the blockchain. You can share your DID with anyone with different applications or on social media, and you'll also be able to export your mnemonics. So, all of this is, as far as your mnemonics and everything else is concerned, maybe you have a KYC related credential that you don't want to share on the blockchain. It is only stored locally, so it does not leave your wallet until you ask it to leave your wallet, which is, if you want it to share with other applications, you can feel free to do so without publishing it on the blockchain. So there's a lot of versatility when it comes to sharing your different credentials with other applications that are out there. So on the left here, you see the edit your profiles screen, and you can choose whether to make it public or not. And on the right-hand side, you see a basic summary, and we'll dive into this a little bit later. All right, so this is the next screen here. You can see here I have the gender, full name, nationality. Oops, let me go to the next one. Okay, there it is. You have the gender, full name, nationality, avatar, bio, all those kind of things. By default, whenever you save any of these information, it is in fact a credential. We just call it self-created credential because it's using your own signature to create that credential and publish on the blockchain. But you could also get it verified from someone else. And so each profile entry that you see here is a credential that you can share with other people, other application, without disclosing everything. For instance, maybe a website or an application requires you to be over 21 years old, but they don't really care if you live in the United States or somewhere else. It doesn't matter to them, right? So it doesn't make sense for you to share your name, your location, anything like that if they don't require you to. And these are the kind of capabilities that these verifiable credentials offer, and Essentials does exactly that. So you'll be able to share your age without actually sharing any of your other information. So and Essentials also has a cool feature that if some of these credentials are supposed to be sensitive, you want to keep them private, it has that sensitive subtext there. And you'll be able to see who verified your credential. So all of this is obviously on the blockchain. So the other application who is requesting your name or age or whatever, they'll be easily able to verify the DID that signed your name and then your own credential, and then be able to verify without asking anyone else, without going through any centralized party. We're trying to get rid of the centralized party with this Web3 new age, and Essentials really tries to do all of that without also protecting your privacy on the way. So there's a core example of how an application could be asking for some of your information here. And this is an example of profile.site. You can go over there right now and try to sign in using Essentials. But I'm not going to dive too deep into this, but just as a brief summary, the way that it works is on profile, you basically click on sign in with Essentials or whatever, and then you get a QR code. And then over on Essentials app, you open your scanner, your camera app, and then you scan it. And then on Essentials, this is the screen that you see, because it's going to tell you exactly what profile is asking. Okay, the profile wants to know your name, your email address, but some of the fields are mandatory. For instance, maybe a profile does require your name, so you can't really, not select it. You can deny it, but any other information like your email address, maybe that's optional field. So you can choose whether to give that email address to something, some other application like profile.site. Having some trouble here with the slides here. This is the slide that I was talking about. So what you can do also is you'll be able to choose after profile gets your credential from Essentials, you'll be able to choose to make that credential public or not. And then from that point on, that application like profile can then store that credential onto your user vault, which profile, again, does not control because it's your own decentralized storage solution. Profile will be able to tap into your own Hive vault to be able to retrieve that credential at a later time, so that it's not always interacting with the blockchain. It's still your credential is still in your own vault of your own choosing, but rather profile has all that information needed. So from that point on, it doesn't need to constantly keep asking you for your name or email address from that point on. All right, so this is the this is a general way of how you can issue a credential. So for convenience, third-party dApps can prepare credentials, content for users, and they can ask them to sign. This content can be of type, it's a simple JSON object. What that means is you'll be able to have any information that you want. It's basically a simple key-value pair. You can put any information that you want, and you'll be able to request credential verification from any other party using Essentials. So what that means is you're not limited by some template that you have to conform to. For instance, maybe you have a company, just start your company, and you want to verify your employees, but you want to add some information that is specific to your company. So then you can have that information, all of that in there, and generate a credential request. And then your employees could do that. And then your company could then issue a credential on their behalf. And from that point on, they'll be able to take that credential to any other application and be able to utilize it in whatever way that they want. So this is one of the examples of how the KYC application works. So let's say there is this, party one, kyc-me.io. You basically, it's a credential producer. So you start generating the credential to their identity wallet, and party two is the essentials. So this is where all of your credential is held. And so let's say your name is KYC'd and all of that is in your wallet. Let's say, well, other thing to mention that I also mentioned earlier is that it doesn't need to be on the blockchain, right? So what now, there's these two other applications called Elab and Elasticity. They both can request your KYC credential. For instance, maybe Elab only requests your gender, while Elasticity only requests your full name. You'll be able to do that through Essentials pretty easily. All right, so Web3 needs to find ways to get adopted by everyone. One of the key challenges of Web3, as we're all aware, is that it's very hard to get adopted by masses because it's not very intuitive, or some parties, a lot of things are dependent on another thing, and then most of the things are centralized. And even if there are wallets out there, they do have some sort of central party in the centralized server in the backend that's doing everything like that. So and this is I believe one of the problems that Web3 is facing right now, because developers who are trying to tap into this new ecosystem don't really understand what Web3 means, because it's not because they don't see the potential of it, but it's just because they don't see the benefits of how it could be integrated on different applications. And so there's a lot of dependencies. And so what Essentials is trying to do is it wants to, we want to make Essentials be the first to pull this Web3, but also in the same way compete with other identity wallets, so that if we show other wallets the way, then maybe other wallets could also integrate the different identity wallets rather than just crypto wallets that are out there. Why Web3? So a lot of questions that people ask is, well, then I have this DID, but how's it gonna make me money? Like with cryptos and NFTs, I can make lots of money, or not. And end user, maybe they don't why do I need to care about a DID, right? I already have my Google authentication. I already have my Facebook authentication. Like all these other websites already offer the ability for me to sign in using my LinkedIn, using my Facebook, using my Google. Why do I need a DID, yet another authentication mechanism? And a simple answer to all of that is that with the DID, your authentication is owned by you. And if you wanted to, and so what that means is your information is controlled by you. So there is no centralized servers in the backend that's storing your information, that's selling your information. And even the KYC information that we looked about earlier, even that is in your own wallet. So even that, you have power over that to share which information of your KYC related DID with other applications. So Essentials' attempt is to find all possible ways to try to basically push this initial creation so that the Web3 architecture can start to take shape. All right, crypto wallet. This is why I had asked the question earlier. And as expected, like most of the answers that I saw were MetaMask, Nexo, Essentials, Gemini, Coinbase, all those kind of stuff. Before I move on to the next question, next slide, I want to ask yet another question that I hope everyone can answer with a simple answer on the chat here. And that question is, of the wallets that you have used so far, how many of them actually offer DID related capabilities? If just say, if there's any wallets out there, just say which wallet. If not, just say 0 or none, right? All right, we'll have that answer at the end, but let me go through this slide here. So crypto wallet, right? Essentials is a crypto wallet first and foremost, and it is mostly on EVM networks, which means that we do support a whole bunch of EVM networks such as Ethereum, Binance, Smart Chain, Polygon, and so on and so forth. And it's used to list basic crypto wallets, such as the balances. You can see different ERC20 assets, 721, 1155, all these NFTs. You'll be able to transfer them. It even has multiple chains built in. You have transaction history, token discovery, all of that kind of stuff. And on top of that, there are these third-party dApps out there that lets you bridge between all of these different networks out there. And so in addition to that, there's also different kinds of dApps that let you stake directly from your Essentials wallet without having to, bookmark a whole bunch of wallets just to stake on different platforms, right? So Essentials is trying to make the UX, the user experience, as convenient as possible. So you have one address, one DID, and you'll be able to instantly switch networks whenever you want, and with a simple swipe. And you have different wallet themes, so you can categorize your different wallets too. So this is how the wallet looks like, the crypto wallet at least. We saw the DID wallet earlier, identity wallet, but this is the crypto wallet, what it looks like on Essentials. So you have this Binance Smart Chain. So you can see here, all these ERC20, well, BEP20 tokens, I guess, all of these on the Binance Smart Chain, and you see all these assets and so on and so forth, transaction lists, details. These are just examples. So let me just quickly go through the other one. So here you go again, more screenshots here you'll be able to do everything that you can easily do from any other wallet. So all of that feature is available on Essentials. And here you'll be able to see like all of these different networks that you can choose. And then you can choose different wallet, with different themes. And you'll be able to see NFTs, ERC721 NFTs right on Essentials. So without having to leave the browser itself. And all of that you get in one place. All right. There's yet another. I'm just going to skip through this. Yeah, these are just screenshots of how you'll be able to sign different data when it comes to the interaction with the smart contracts. And because all of these are EVM compatible, the process for all of these is exactly the same. And on the third screenshot, you see that you'll be able to quickly switch to another network to be able to do the exact same thing on other networks. All right, now let's talk about, we talked about a simple crypto wallet, which Essentials has. We talked about DID wallet, which Essentials has. Now let's talk about the storage solution, which Essentials also has. And as we talked about earlier, these three things, wallet, crypto wallet, DID, and decentralized storage solution are the Essentials components, what will make up Web3. And when you have all of these three, you don't really have to rely on anything else. So there is a lot of solutions out there, right? Like with IPFS and other storage solutions out there, but not all of them are. With IPFS, yes, like you can choose to do that. But again, like all of your data is still out there on for everyone else to see. Whereas with Hive, it offers more granularity when it comes to the permissions. So we'll talk about that briefly here. So what is Elastos Hive? It's a distributed storage solution. It's an off-chain storage, so you can store as much information that you want. One thing to note is that Hive Vault is not really a Dropbox, so it's not used for your personal storage, but rather it's for application data storage. So all of the applications, the goal is for all these applications to be able to integrate Hive Vault so that all the data that a DID user generates on different applications, such as Elasticity app or profile.site or Glide Finance or any other applications that are out there, they could utilize someone's DID, tap into the vault that the user has selected, because users get to choose their own vault. They can even run their own vault on Raspberry Pi and any other small boxes that you haven't used in a long time. Maybe eventually you'll be able to have a Hive node on a smart fridge someday, but that's far in the future. So user vaults are user app storage devices, right? So the goal with this is you can transfer your vault from one to another. So in case you want to set up a new vault or something, you can easily transfer. And so Essentials, even if it does support interaction with the Hive storage, it's not really Hive it doesn't, it's not a part of Essentials, right? Hive is not a part of Essentials. Hive is its own thing by itself. Profile uses Hive. Essentials uses Hive, and all of these data are related to the DID. So all of the data is stored on someone's DID's identity. So you'll be able to easily take your data anywhere you want and be able to either delete it, remove it, reuse it, whatever you want to do. You could with the traditional databases. So one thing to note is that Hive nodes are not replicated, but they are automatically backed up. So you can easily back up so your data doesn't get lost somehow. All right, so this is another feature of Essentials. It's a contacts feature. There is no local copy of any of the contacts information. It's always up to date with information published by contacts on the identity chain, on the Elastos ID sidechain. And you always get the right wallet address, Twitter account, or company URL, or anything that the user has saved as part of their identity, which means that this is almost like a messenger app with friends on the blockchain because it's related, because it's basically tied to people's individual DID, and any information that is publicly available on that DID, you'll be able to see those information directly through this contacts feature. All right, we talked about it briefly earlier, but Essentials also has this Dapp browser. You are easily able to switch between different networks. You're able to quickly go to those different dApps for swapping different tokens, bridging different tokens, interacting, staking, anything that you want to do, because it's all EVM compatible. The only thing to note is that on iOS, there is a limitation because of iOS. Really nothing Essentials can do at this point. But when you open a dApp from iOS, it does open in the external browser. So that is one of the limitations of iOS. All right, so Elastos voting. Even though Essentials is a multi-network wallet for EVMs, it is first and foremost the primary wallet for the entire Elastos ecosystem, which what this means is all the features that is available on the Elastos main chain, the blockchain, such as the voting of different delegated proof-of-stake supernodes, you'll be able to easily do that on Essentials. So in the future, if there are other platforms out there which take shape, that we could easily integrate voting for those other platforms as well. But first and foremost, obviously, Elastos, any features that Elastos has on the blockchain, it is readily available on the Essentials app. Going along with the previous slide, the Cyber Republic, people in the Elastos community are familiar, but it is the Elastos DAO. And users basically get to elect 12 council members every year. They can submit different suggestions, proposals. All of these are on the blockchain, and council members can vote for proposals. Holders can impeach different council members. They can veto decisions made by council members. They can do, if they're not satisfied with their engagement, right? So all of this is again available on Essentials because Essentials is the go-to wallet for the Elastos ecosystem. All right, these are more screenshots of the proposals. So let me just quickly go over to the next one. All right, this is not really Web3 red packets, but it's a simple way to really get the adoption going. So key challenge of Web3 is adoption, and red packets are an attempt to create some sort of gamification around cryptos and to grow some user base for Essentials. And so what happens is if new users come in, they can easily grab packets if there are left, and they can get a DID, they can get a Hive storage all at the same time. And this actually is available for anyone to try on Essentials. So feel free to download the Essentials wallet today and be able to, you can create your own red packets or, for different tokens on the Elastos Smart Chain, and so on and so forth. Or even with ELA token, you can create different red packets or get in a raffle on the existing red packets. So it's just a fun way to get some people interacting with Elastos Essentials. All right, so before I hop on to this, I'm gonna look at all the answers for how many wallets have you guys encountered that do have DID capabilities, and almost all of the answers are 0 or none. which is good for us because Essentials is maybe one of the first to have all of these features related to Web3 with DID, hot storage solution, and crypto wallet all at the same time, all in one platform with a nice simple UI and all of that kind of stuff. So DIDs, if you have a wallet address, why do you need a DID, right? DIDs are much more than just wallet private keys, and we talked about today. It's mostly thanks to different credentials and the capability that they offer. Web3, at the end of the day, it's not just about blockchains. You can forget about the crypto for a while, because if you don't have a good identity platform or a good storage solution, just by having crypto is not good enough, because in order to create the next generation, next web, so to speak, you need all three of these components. And so blockchains are a great technology, but where you can make some data public, unalterable, verifiable. But do you want to put everything on the blockchain? Not really. So in which case you need some sort of offline storage solution, and you need some DID to have some permissions around your credentials and so on and so forth. What's the advantage of Essentials compared to other existing wallets? As we talked about earlier, it's not just a simple crypto wallet. It's a DID wallet. It's it lets you manage all of these things at the same time. I've heard that Essentials is a fully sandbox environment without HTTP, a kind of world computer. So this is Elastos' long-term vision, but at the moment, Essentials is not that right now. But perhaps in the future, we will get to that point. But we only will get to that point slowly. How open is Essentials? Everything is open source. We're W3C DID compliant. So all of it, we're all about interoperability and improvements. So, we have all these different SDKs, and we don't just rely on Essentials team to build all of this technology. We rely on all the tremendous amount of other work that is already done by other Elastos teams who build SDKs and other kind of stuff. All right, we're almost there. Why is all of this helping to build Web3, right? It's all about trustless interoperability. You may have interoperability today, but it's not fully trustless. And DIDs and credentials allow for such kind of interoperability, which is not just interoperable, but also trustless. And you can choose your privacy level, and it has authenticity because you can get verified, and it has usable storage because everything is tied to your DID, and you can choose your own storage anywhere you want. All right, Elastos Tech current state. So currently we have DIDs everywhere. We have multi-user sign-in authentication on Hive. And then outside Essentials, there's Cyber Republic, eLab, KYC.me, Profile.site, many other stuff related to DID operations. And there's Hive that we talked about briefly that is used to store all the application data. Carrier, it is used to communicate. So with Carrier, you can build different chat applications. We talked about the contacts feature earlier on Essentials. The goal is to integrate Carrier there, so you'll be able to easily interact with other people using the DID. And so it is unused so far, but the goal is to utilize it in the future going forward. Same thing with Elastos Smart Chain. It is made accessible for different applications right now. And the business model right now is to demonstrate and serve the Elastos technical stack. And our goal currently is to grow more users, get on board. And this is why the initial onboarding is really important, because we don't want to turn off anyone who is new to crypto or new to Web3 and so on and so forth. So red packets, they are already live. The goal is to eventually have some kind of business model in the future so that we can get we can generate some revenue based on some premium features or certain actions going forward. And some other add-ons that you can see on the wallet right now. You can switch between dark, light modes, startup, screen selection time, screen selection. Ability to use that same DID on multiple devices. So this is really cool because you'll be able to take that mnemonics that you have, and you'll be able to easily sync, because all of your data is stored on Hive, right? So you're not just tied to Essentials. There could be a competitor someday with that does the exact same thing as Essentials, and we totally welcome that, because the goal is to have as many DID-related wallets as possible. So you'll be able to, take your data from Essentials and go over to other application and back and forth. All right, so what's next? These are some of the milestones that we have coming up. We will have the ability to transfer your Hive in the future on Essentials. There's a security audit incoming. Custom DIDs where you'll be able to choose your own DID name. So keep an eye out for that. More UX changes, wallet improvements, perhaps ledger support, and obviously the use of Carrier for different chat functionalities, or even just different communication that you can do from within the application itself. All right, so that concludes my presentation. And you can get your own DID today by going to Essentials. You can download it right now by going to App Store, and if you just type in Elastos Essentials, you'll be able to do that pretty easily. And you can also find us on Discord. There's a link there. We're there almost 24/7, so feel free to hop on there and ask any questions that you have. All right, so with that, I guess that concludes our presentation. So,
hey, Kiran, that was fantastic. Hey. Thanks very much for that. I really enjoyed it, and the activity from the audience was fantastic. I know the Elastos ecosystem, it's one of the most engaged and active communities that I've come across, and I know there's a lot of you out there in the audience, and there's been plenty of questions and comments and activity that's been happening throughout that. So we'll go through a couple of the questions if you have time, Kiran.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic. Yeah. So first question comes from Dre, who asks, what makes your wallet stand out more than other wallet companies?
Yeah, so I think we briefly touched on this on the presentation, but Essentials, I'm just going to reiterate briefly here. We're not just building a simple crypto wallet, because there's a lot of wallets out there, and they do a much better job of just focusing on those crypto related wallets out there. That's great. We invite competition, but when it comes to Essentials, we're tying the wallet capability, the crypto wallet capability, to the DID, a decentralized identifier that each person gets. And on top of that, we tie all of the data that you want to store, that you want to keep private, and you want to keep public, all on a decentralized storage solution. And all of that is available, and you're able to do that through Essentials. So I think that's what makes us differentiates us from other wallet companies that are out there, because we're as the title of the presentation goes, we're about the Web3 DID identity Superwallet. We're not just a wallet, but we're the Superwallet. So
absolutely. The other question, and the most upvoted question from the whole session, was virtual identities. Essentially, do they increase the risk of identity theft, or do they protect us from it? I know it's a hot topic with a lot of people at the moment.
Yeah, that's a great question. So what happens today is, we're all just focused on blockchain and what it can do for us going forward, while ignoring, or maybe not ignoring, but being oblivious to the fact that you can't really put everything on the blockchain. Because if you start putting some sensitive data that a person doesn't want out there, because once it's on the blockchain, it's out there forever. You don't want that to happen. But rather, what we can do is let the users choose what information to make it public and what information to not make it public. And if it's not public, then where are you going to store that? And can you, if it's not publicly available on the blockchain, well, who are you going to trust with that data, right? And all of that is kind of answered with the storage solution, the Hive vault that we talked about today, wherein in case you want to, let's say you want to get any of your information verified by a legitimate third-party entity, and you do that, but then you want to keep that information, that verification signature, only in your own vault, only in your own storage. So you can easily do that, and Hive lets you do that. And I think that is the middle ground that everyone should be aiming for anyways, because you can't just try to use blockchain for everything. There needs to be a balance, and I think the best balance is to let the users pick and choose what they would like to make public, what they don't like to make public, and take their data wherever they want to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, that's been fascinating, Kiran. I really enjoyed that talk, as well as a lot of the other talks from the Elastos ecosystem that have happened throughout this event. I just want to take a moment to talk about Elastos, the world's leading provider of open source solutions, employing not only blockchain technology, but a peer-to-peer network for communication, decentralized data storage services, and a decentralized ID system for all users and digital assets. So a few of those aspects covered today. And make sure you go and check out the Elastos booth today, guys. I know there's some of the team there. Go and say hello, ask a little bit more about it, and go and communicate with them in the networking sessions, which will be happening in the breaks and at the end of the day as well. So thanks very much for your time today, Kiran. Really enjoyed that. I hope everyone else did too. And we'll speak again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.